Welcome to Bethel Online Education Hub. Learn anytime, anywhere. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. Let's learn together, the Bethel way.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to our new learning journey in understanding culture, society, and politics. As we explore how human societies are formed and maintained, it is essential to understand three fundamental concepts, which are kinship, marriage, and the household. There are These are not just personal aspects of our lives. They are also powerful social institutions that shape how community functions. From birth, we are part of a network of relationships that influence our identity and place in society. First, kinship. Kinship refers to the ties that connect peoples through blood. Marriage or adoption. Marriage is a recognized social contract that binds individual and families together. And the households is the basic unit where people live, work, and care for one another. By studying these elements, we gain insight into how different cultures define family, how social roles are assigned, and how individuals contribute to the structure of society. Let's dive deeper into this concept and see how they affect not only our personal lives but also the world around us. Now, let's talk about what is kinship. Kinship as a primary organizing principles of society. Kinship is one of the fundamental foundation of human society, serving as a major organizing principle across cultures and throughout history. It goes beyond blood relation, and marriage ties, encompassing a system of communication that shape how individuals understand their identity, belongings, and place within a community. Kinship provides the framework through which people relate to one another, whether within immediate families, extended clans, or larger tribal networks. It plays a vital role in defining roles, responsibilities, rights, and obligations that guide social behavior and interaction. For example, kinship system often determine who is responsible for child rearing, who inherits property, how resources are shared, and who is expected to provide support in times of need. These rules and expectations create stability, solidarity, and cooperation within society. Furthermore, kinship is not only about biology, but also about culture. Different societies interpret and organize kinship in diverse ways, developing terms, traditions, and rituals that reinforce relationship and strengthen the social bonds. Through kinship, individuals learn values such as respect, loyalty, and reciprocity, which are essentials for social cohesion. In sense, in this sense, kinship is more than a private matter of life. It is a social institution that underpins community organizations, political authority, and even economic activity. It ensures continuity across generations, fosters collective identity, and and maintain the balance of rights and duties that make social life possible. Now let's talk about kinship by blood. Kinship by blood, also called consanguineal kinship, refers to a relationship that formed through birth or shared ancestry. These are the ties that naturally exist among parent, children, siblings, and other relatives who share the same bloodline. It is the most basic and universal form of kinship, serving as the foundation of family structures in society. Consanguineal kinship establish strong bonds of identity, loyalty, and obligation. For example, children are expected to respect and care for their parents, while siblings encouraged to support and protect one another. In many cultures, inheritance right, succession, and family responsibilities are also determined by blood relationship. These blood ties extend beyond the nuclear family to include grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, and other extended relatives, forming a network of support and cooperation. Such networks play a crucial role in passing on traditions, cultural practices, and values from one generation to the next. In short, kinship by blood creates enduring bond that links individual not only biologically but also socially, ensuring the continuity of family and community of life. Now let's talk about a types of kinship by blood, which is the descent-based kinship. Descent refers to the socially recognized system of tracing ancestry of lineage, through which individuals establish their familial relationship and social identity. While kinship by blood incites biological connection, descents focus on how societies organize and interpret these ties across generations. It provides the framework of belonging, guiding who is considered part of one's family, clans, or lineage. Descent plays a crucial role in shaping social organization. It determines inheritance of property, succession to leadership or authority, membership in clans or tribes, and the distribution of rights, duties, and privilege. For example, in some societies, land or titles are passed down through the father's line, while in others, they are inherited through the mother's line. Some groups recognize both lines equally, giving individuals ties to both their father and mother families. Beyond inheritance, descent-based kinship also influence social responsibilities and expectation. It's established who one can one can or cannot marry, who is expected to provide economic or emotional support, and how individuals participate in rituals, ceremonies, and community life. In essence, descent-based kinship not only links people biologically, but also embeds them with a structured social system. ensuring the transmission of culture, property, and identity across generations. Now, let's talk about different types of descent system. First, we have the unlineal descent. Unlineal descent is a system of tracing kinship and family lineage through only one side of the family, either the male line or the female line. In this system, an individual is recognized as belonging exclusively to the lineage of either the father or the mother, but not both. In this method of reckoning, ancestry provides clarity and stability in defining group membership, inheritance right, and family responsibilities. For example, in a patrilineal society, children belong to the father's clan or lineage. They inherit property, family name, and sometimes political authority from the male line. Many traditional societies, including those in Africa, Asia, and Middle East, follow this system. In contrast, matrilineal societies trace descent through the mother's line. Children belong to their mother's clan and may inherit land or other resources from maternal relatives. Leadership roles and responsibilities can also influence by the maternal lineage. Well-known examples include the Minangkabau people of Indonesia and the indigenous group in North America and Africa. Unlineal descent is significant because it clearly defines a person's identity, obligations, and entitlements within a community by narrowing kinship on one line. It simplifies inheritance, rules, and strength loyalty to a particular lineage or clan, which often forms the backbone of social organization. Now, let's talk about the two types of unlineal descent. First is the patrilineal descent. Patrilineal descent is a type of unlineal descent in which an individual's ancestry is placed through the male line, father's side. In this system, a persons automatically belong to the same kin group or clans as their father. Family name, property, and lineage are passed down from the father to son, making men the primary link in the continuation of the family line. In this system is one of the most common forms of descent worldwide. It's established clear rules or inheritance, succession, and authority. For example, land, livestock, or leadership positions are typically transferred from father to their male children. Women are considered part of their father's clan until marriage, after which they usually join their husband's clan. Patrilineal descent is common in many traditional and modern societies, including much of Asia, the Middle East, and the part of Africa. For instance, in ancient China, family lineage and ancestral worship were strongly tied. to father's line. While in many African patrilineal communities, clan, identity, and property rights are also inherited from the male side. By emphasizing the father lineage, patrilineal descent reinforces male authority in both family and community life, shaping not only inheritance and kinship ties, but also broader society, social structure, and traditions. Now let's talk about the second type of unlineal descent, which is the matrilineal descent. Matrilineal descent is a type of unlineal descent in which an individual's ancestry is traced through the female line or mother side. In this system, a persons belong to the same kin group or clan as their mother. Family identity, property, inheritance, and lineage are passed down through the mother sides of the family, making women the key link in continuing the family line. Unlike patrilineal system where men holds greater authority, matrilineal societies often gave significant recognition to women's roles in family and community life. For example, inheritance of land, resources, or clan membership is typically transferred from mothers to their children, while leadership position may still be held by men in some matrilineal society. Those men often derive their authority from their maternal lineage, such as inheriting status from mother's brother rather than from a father. Examples of patrilineal descent can be found among the Minangkabau people of Indonesia, the Navajo in North America, and the several groups in Africa such as the Akan of Ghana. In these cultures, children remaining members of their mother's clan throughout their lives, reinforcing the importance of maternal kinship ties. Matrilineal descent highlights the vital role of women in ensuring continuity, culture identity, and social organization, emphasizing the mother's line as the foundation of family and community life. Now, let's talk about the second type of descent-based kinship, which is the bilateral descent. Bilateral descent, also known as bilineal or cognatic descent. In this system of tracing kinship in which an individual recognizes both the mother's and the father's line as equally important in determining family ties, inheritance, and identity, unlike unlineal descent that emphasizes only one side. Bilateral descent gives equal weight to both parental lineage. In this system, individuals are considered part of two families, their mother's kin group and their father's kin group. This creates a wide network of relatives, including grandparents, uncles, aunts, and cousins from both sides. Because of this, bilateral descent provides individual with broader social connection and source of support. Bilateral descent is common in many modern and Western societies, including the Philippines, the United States, and most of Europe. In this context, inheritance, property rights, and even family names can came from either parents, depending on cultural practices or family decisions. For example, a child may inherit land from the father's sides and receive heirlooms or tradition from the mother's sides. This system tends to strengthen the nuclear family rather than large clan since both sides are recognized and responsibilities are shared more equally. It reflects more flexible and inclusive kinship ties compared to a lineal system which strictly follow only one line of descent. Now, let's talk about the other types of descent, which is the lineage. The lineage is a group of people who can trace their direct line of descent from a unknown common ancestor. In this system, every member of the lineage can clearly identify how they are related to one another, whether through the mother's line or the father's line. Lineage are often tightly knit units with strong obligation and mutual support. They may play important roles in organizing marriage, inheritance, and successions and rituals. Because descent is clearly documented. Lineage group tends to be smaller and more specific than clans, making them easier to trace across generation. Now let's proceed with the clans. A, a clans is larger kinship group made up of several lineage. The clan claims descent from the common ancestor, even if the exact genealogical links are not always known or remembered, unlike a lineage, where the precise family connections are clear and a clan's relationship to its founding ancestor may be more symbolic or traditional. Clans often serve as powerful social unit that provides identity, belonging, and protection. This may associate with totems, symbols, or myths that reinforce the idea of shared ancestry. Members of a clan considered themselves relatives and usually have obligation of mutual aid, even if they cannot trace the exact blood ties. Clans are important in many societies for regulating marriage, organizing political authority, and maintaining cultural traditions. Example, examples that can be found in indigenous group, African tribal societies, and even Scottish history, where clans serves as both kinship and political group. Now, let's talk about the moiety. Moieties divides a society into two larger social groups, often based on ancestral or symbolic associations. Every member of the community is assigned to one of the two moiety at birth, usually through descent rules such as patrilineal or matrilineal affiliation. Moiety are not just divisions, but serve important social purpose. They often regulate marriage by enforcing exogamy, which strengthens alliance, and unity within the wider society. Moiety may also play roles in rituals, ceremonies, and cooperative tasks, with each group complementing or balancing the other. This dual division emphasizes harmony and balance, symbolizing the interdependence of two halves in maintaining the whole community. Examples of moiety systems can be found among indigenous people of Australia, some Native American groups, and Pacific Island societies. Now let's talk about phratry. A phratry is a kinship grouping made of two or more related clans that claims to share a common ancestor, who is often legendary or mythically rather than historically verifiable. Unlike a single clan, which may trace descent to a specific ancestor, a phratry unites several clans under a broader sense of shared origin. Phratry often serve to organize larger communities, creating alliance among different clans and regulating social interactions such as marriage, inheritance, or political authority. They may also be tied to religious or ceremonial functions, reinforcing unity through shared myths, totems, and traditions. Examples of phratry can be found in ancient Greek society, where they were important in political and religious life, as well as among various indigenous groups in North America and Oceania. Now, let's talk about kinship by marriage. Kinship by marriage, also called affinal kinship, it refers to the relationship created not by blood, but through the union of marriage. When two people marry, they do more they do more than form a partnership. They also establish bonds between their respective families, relatives, and kin groups. This creates a new network of social ties that connect previously unrelated groups and often expand an individual social cycle. A final kinship includes relationship such as in-laws, a husband's or wife's parents, siblings, and extended relatives. These ties are important because they extend obligation, rights, and responsibilities beyond one's blood families. For examples, in many cultures, son and daughter in law are expected to show their respect and provide support to their spouse parents, while brother and sister in law may be bound by rules of cooperation, respect, and avoidance. Marriage based kinship is significant in maintaining alliance, strengthening community bonds, and sometimes even consolidating political or economic power. In traditional societies, marriage were often arranged not only for personal unions but also to create strategic alliance. between clans, tribes, or families. In this sense, kinship by marriage demonstrates the family is not limited to biological ties. It can also be socially constructed with a penal relationship, playing an essential roles in binding communities together and ensuring cooperation between two different groups. Now, let's talk about the different forms of marriage. First is the endogamy, marriage within the group. Endogamy is the social practice or cultural rules that requires individual to marry within a specific group, such such as their ethnic community, social class, religion, or tribe. This practice discourage or in some case outright prohibits marriage outside the group are often considered unsuitable, incompatible, or threatening to the group identity and cohesion. The main purpose of endogamy is to preserve cultural traditions, religious beliefs, social status, or economic resources within the group. For example, caste system in India historically required strict endogamous marriage to maintain social hierarchy, while some religious communities encourage marrying within the faith to ensure the continuity of beliefs and practices. Endogamy strengthen group solidarity and a sense of belonging, as marrying within the group reinforce shared values, norms, and heritage. However, it can also limit individual freedom of choice, and reduce opportunities for intercultural exchange. In many societies, endogamy has shaped family arrangement and community boundaries, influencing not only who individuals can marry, but also how social identity and group membership are maintained across generations. Now, let's talk about exogamy, marriage outside the group. Exogamy is a cultural or social rules that requires individual to marry someone outside of their own social group, such as their clan, lineage, moiety, or kin group. It is the direct opposite of endogamy, which restrict marriage within a group. The main purpose of exogamy is to prevent inbreeding, broaden social networks, and strengthen allies between different families or groups. By requiring marriage outside the immediate group, exogamy promotes genetic diversity and create bonds of cooperation and reciprocity across communities. For example, in many indigenous societies, members of one clan are forbidden to marry within their own clan and must instead choose partner from another clan. Similarly, in moiety system, individuals from one moiety are required to marry someone from the opposite moiety to maintain balance. and unity within society. Exogamy plays an important role in building peace, unity, and interdependence between groups. It extends kinship ties from beyond the family and ensuring that communities remain interconnected through bonds of marriage, shared responsibilities, and mutual support. Now, let's talk about the monogamy, marriage to one person at a time. Monogamy is a type of marriage in which an individual has only one spouse at a time. It is the most common and widely accepted form of marriage in many societies today, especially in modern, Western, and predominantly Christian contexts. Monogamy is often associated with ideals of exclusivity, loyalty, and long-term partnership. Monogamous union can take different forms. First is the lifelong monogamy. In these forms, a person has only one spouse throughout their entire life. The marriage is intended to last until death, and remarriage after the death of the spouse may be discouraged or restricted in some cultures or religions. Next is the serial monogamy. In this form, a person has only one spouse at a time, but may have multiple spouses over the course of their lifetime through remarriage. This is common in societies where divorce and remarriage are socially accepted, allowing individuals to have successive monogamous relationships. Monogamy provides social stability by simplifying inheritance, lineage, and family obligations. It's also emphasizes emotional intimacy between parents, and it's often promoted as the ideal form of marriage in many legal systems and religious traditions. Now, let's talk about the polygamy, marriage to more than one spouse at a time. Polygamy is a marriage practice in which a person has more than one spouse. Simultaneously, it is the opposite of monogamy, and it's often found in traditional, tribal, or agrarian societies, where marriage is closely tied to social, economic, or cultural needs. Polygamy can strengthen family labor, increase wealth, and expand alliances between families or clans. There are different forms of polygamy. First is the polygyny. A man has multiple wives at the same time. This is the most common form of polygamy and practiced in many parts of Africa, Middle East, and South Asia. It is often linked to wealth status or agricultural needs, where larger households provide more labor and influence. Next is the polyandry. A woman has multiple husbands at the same time. This is much rarer than polygyny, but can be found in certain Himalayan religions such as Tibet, Nepal, and India. Polyandry often occurs in areas with limited resources and is prevent the division of land and property among many families. Polygamy plays an important role in some cultural cultures by promoting alliances, ensuring economic security, or enhancing social prestige. However, in many modern societies and legal systems, monogamy is the only recognized form of marriage and polygamy may be restricted or prohibited by law. Now, let's talk about other types or forms of marriage. First is the arranged marriage, a form of marriage in which spouses are selected by parents, relatives, or community elders rather than by individual themselves. Arranged marriage are common in traditional societies where family alliances, social status, or economic consideration are prioritized, while sometimes viewed as restrictive. Arranged marriage can also strengthen family bonds and ensure compatibility in values, religion, or culture. Next, we have the love marriage. In contrast to arranged marriage, love marriage allow individuals to choose their own partners based on personal affection, attraction, or emotional connection. These forms of marriage emphasize personal choice and romantic love, and it's more common in modern and Western societies where individual freedom is highly valued. Next is the levirate marriage, a cultural practice in which a widow marries the brother of her dead husband. The levirate ensure that the widow and her children remain under the care and protections of the husband family, while also preserving property and inheritance within the same kin group. This custom has been observed in many Asian Hebrew society, parts of Africa, and other traditional communities. Next is the sororate marriage, a cultural practice in which a widower marries the sister of his dead wife. The sororate helps maintain the alliance between two families or clans and ensures continuity in kinship ties. It also provides stability for the children as they are cared by someone from their mother's family line. Now, let's talk about kinship by ritual. Kinship by ritual, also called fictive kinship. It refers to a special type of social relationship that is not based on blood or marriage, but instead is created through rituals, symbolic acts, or culturally recognized bond. These ties, though not biological, are treated with the same seriousness and respect as family relationship. One of the most well-known and culturally significant forms of ritual kinship is the compadrazgo system, commonly practiced in Hispanic, Latin American, and Filipino cultures. In this system, godparents are chosen during important religious ceremonies, such as baptism, confirmation, or marriage. Through this ritual act, the godparents become spiritual co-parent of the child and establish a lifelong relationship with the biological parents. These bonds extend beyond the religious functions, creating a strong social network or mutual support, obligations, and respect. For instances, godparents are expected to guide the child's moral and spiritual development, while the parents show gratitude, loyalty, and deference to them. Ritual kinship like compadrazgo strengthens social cohesion, expand network of cooperation, and provides individuals with additional source of support beyond their immediate family. It shows how kinship is not only a matter of biology or marriage, but also a social and cultural construction that binds people together in a meaningful way. Now let's talk about the last part of our topic, which is the family and the household. The family is one of the most basic and universal social institutions. It is a group of people usually connected by blood, marriage, or adoption who live together or maintain close ties and perform essential functions in society. Families are responsible for social socialization, providing emotional and financial support, ensuring care and protection, and serving as the primary unit of identity and belonging. Families also play an important role in regulating reproduction, inheritance, and social order. The households, on the other hand, refers more specifically to a group of people who live together under one roof, regardless of whether or not they are related by blood or legal ties. A household could be a nuclear family, an extended family, or even a group of unrelated individuals, such as brothers, roommates, or domestic workers. What defines a household is the sharing living arrangement and the management of daily life, such as eating together, sharing resources, and dividing responsibilities. While families are about social relationship and kinship ties, households are about residence and cohabitation. In many cases, the two overlap, but they are not always the same. For instances, a parent working abroad may still be part of the family, but not part of the household. Both the family and the household are essential to understanding how people organize their lives, meet their needs, and maintain social connections. Now, let's talk about the different types of families. First is the nuclear family. A nuclear family is a small family unit, typically made up of generations, parents, and their children. It is considered the traditional family structure in many societies and is often viewed as the basic unit of socialization, care, and support. Next is the extended family. An extended family includes the nuclear family plus other relatives such as grandparents, uncles, aunt, and cousin. In this type of family, several generations may live together or maintain close ties, providing a wider support network for childcare, economic security, and culturally continuity. Now, let's talk about single parent family. A single parent family is one where only one parent lives with and raises the child or children. This may result from divorce, separation, death of spouse, or choice. Single parent families often face unique challenges, but also highlight resistance and adaptability in meeting children's needs. Next is the blended or reconstitute family. A blended family is formed when two people remarry from or form a union, bring children from previous relationship into one household. This creates a new family structure that involves step parents, step siblings, and half siblings. Blended families show how family ties can expand and adjust through life changes. Next is the transitional family. A transitional family is one who members are geologically separated, often due to migration for work or education, but who maintain strong emotional, social, and financial ties across borders. For examples, in the Philippines, many overseas Filipino workers support their families back home, demonstrating that family bonds can remain strong despite physical distance. Now let's talk about forms of politics of kinships. Political dynasty. A political dynasty occurs when political power is passed down within a single family across generations. Different members of the same family may hold various government positions, such as mayor, governor, senator, or even president. This practice strengthens families' political influence, often making it difficult for outsiders to compete, while some argue that dynasties provide continuity and stability. Other citizens criticize them for promoting inequality and concentrating power in hands of a few families. So talk about the other types of political kinship, which is the kinship-based alliance. Beyond dynasties, kinship ties are also used to forge alliances that expand or protect political power. This alliance can be formed through strategic marriage. Marriage arranged or encouraged between influential families to unite political or economic interests. Next is the godfatherhood or the compadrazgo. Ritual kinship ties such as becoming godparents can create bonds of loyalty and obligation that strengthen political network. Next is the support networks. Extended kinship groups, clans, and families connect often serve as the basis of political support, especially in elections and community leadership. Together, these practices highlight how kinship is not just a private matter, but also powerful tool in shaping political landscape. This connection between kinship and politics shows how family structures can influence broader system of governance, power distribution, and social organization. Kinship, marriage, and households are not just private matter of family life. They are the backbone of society. Through kinship, we understand who we are connected to and what roles and responsibilities we carry. Through marriage, we see how individuals and families create alliances that extend beyond personal relationship to shape communities and even politics. And through the households, we recognize the daily realities of cooperation, support, and care that sustains life. These institutions, though they may look different across culture and time, serve as the same essential purpose to bring people together, to ensure survival, and to care, to create meaning in our social world. By studying them, we gain a deeper appreciation of how human beings build relationships, preserve traditions, and adapt to change. As you reflect on today's lesson, remember this. Family, however it is defined, is at the heart of human society. It is within these bonds, by bloods, by marriage, by ritual, or by shared living, that we learn values, experience belonging, and find our place in a wider community. Thank you, and may this understanding help you see the connection between your own family, your community, and the larger society in a new light.